Joe, do we have a quorum yet?
Um, We're waiting for Chip for the quorum. We have, we only have 5 members who are here tonight.
Chip's on.
Oh, Chip is on. We have a quorum.
Awesome. Can you give me screen
Yeah.
share?
Okay, it's 7:02. We'll start the meeting of the Permanent Building Committee and the School Building Committee, August 11th. Is there anyone who wishes to engage in public participation? Raise your hand on the Zoom. Seeing and hearing none. Lynn?
Okay, good evening, everybody. First up on the agenda is the Wakefield Public Safety Building. Administrative actions for tonight include approving the July 14th meeting minutes, review and approval of July 2022 invoices, review and approval of construction change order number 6, a budget update, and more on the dedication plaque in terms of size and location. And then we'll turn it over to Bond to give an update on the construction progress and the look ahead schedule.
I move we approve the July 14th minutes as written.
Is there a second? Second, thanks, Tom. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, the minutes are approved.
Next up are the invoices.
Can you make these a little bigger? Or I got them.
You got them?
Yeah. I'm on my phone because the computer won't come up for some reason. I move that we approve left field invoice 21 dated 7/31/27 for $18,500.
That's probably 22.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
I move that we approve HKT Architects invoice number 19-022023 dated 8/8/20 dated 8/8/22 for the sum of $16,309.09.
Are these, I think these are combined, aren't they? Or
No,
no?
they're both almost the same amount.
Okay,
There's a $500, roughly $500 difference.
do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? I have a problem with the invoice that I looked at. Lynn,
Yes.
it had on their prior balance. And it has it at 61,000 something. I think there might be some confusion if we send that to the town accountant.
That just means the amount they haven't been
Oh.
paid.
I know what it means, but I'm not gonna, I can't approve a $61,000 bill, but only the monthly bill. And if it goes to the town accountant, there should be some confusion. So I would ask to be allowed to either delete that prior balance in the indication there, because it says balance due is 61,000 on it.
Yeah, I would strike that out and just do the invoice total.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if HKT is on, but I doubt that.
Yeah,
they-
Janet's on.
Yeah, I'm on. Usually it just means that by time that invoice was produced, it's an automatic thing that comes up, Joe. I'll see if, do you want Allison to just, that's the woman who does it, clarify that, or can you just strike it yourself?
I'm gonna
the
strike it
past?
myself, but from now on, because the town accountant may not have been, in sync time wise
Okay.
during the summer.
Oh,
please don't
okay.
put it-
Yep.
Please don't have it on there.
Okay, it's automatic. It comes up automatic, so she can white it out maybe or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so the first bills for the basic services is $16,309.09. There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
John. John.
Yes, sorry, I was on mute.
I move that we approve HKT Architects dash 022023 as well dated 8/8/22 for the sum of $16,802.50.
second,
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
John.
Yes,
Thank you.
I move that we approve bond building invoice number 7 dated 7/31/22 for the sum of $702,384.15.
second,
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
John.
yes,
I move that we approve Briggs Engineering invoice 0221-761 dated 7/30/22 for the sum of $1,580.
second,
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
John.
yes,
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to bonds change order number 6. Actually, it's composed of three PCOs that are actually all contingency draws. And allowance, and a hold and allowance draw as well. So therefore, it's $0, but we'd like to approve the use of the holds, allowances, and contingency.
And what is the price? Is it 73? What are they drawing down? What's the dollar amount they're drawing down? I know it's 0 to us, but what are they drawing down on the GMP?
Hold on, I have to pull up that 1
that
second. It should
73,000?
be in your packet for each of those PCOs, but 1 second.
Yeah, the first two, Chip, are allowances within bonds GMP, and the third one is a drawdown of bonds construction contingency, also within their GMP. Zero change to contract.
To contract, I know, but I'm just curious, what does that do to their construction contingency?
Oh, I see.
I have to open it up. Just hang on a second.
Dave or Dario, would you know the value of your construction contingency based on this?
Pulling it up right now. 1 second, sorry. Chip, would it be helpful if going forward, if we have contingency draws to show a summary at the same time?
Okay.
And is that what you would prefer?
Yes.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm the one causing the feedback because of the.
Okay, PCO 41 is a draw, a whole number 1 draw for miscellaneous concrete patching for $4,800. And to go through my my screen is on overload with so many things open, so. And then PCO 45 is a contingency draw for bullet resistant glass, and the draw was $5,798. And the first one, I think I skipped over it when I was trying to go through the pages.
I think it's like $300, as I recall.
100.
Oh, 100, okay.
108. Okay. All right. So back to the,
If anybody received our monthly report, I think Dario sent out a couple days ago, that has all the logs in it that shows the balances.
Yep.
We can probably pull that up.
that was provided in the meeting packet as a link to that. So you should have received that as well.
Dario?
Yep, we have currently in contingency, we have $285,729 left.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, is there a motion?
Yes, given that discussion, I move that we approve PCO number 6.
Second,
Thanks, Tom. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
yes,
Mark,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
thank you. Unanimous.
And a quick budget update, including all of the invoices
is.
and the change order that you just approved. We have 95% of the budget committed, and we have expended 33%. On the owner's side, these are the owner's construction contingencies. We have $265,012 left in the external construction contingency. And the owner's contingency, we have $99,129 for a total of $364,141.
Any questions? Comments? Hearing none. Okay, Lynn.
Here, this is the plaque, final location of that. If you see the dark blue is the new plaque. The intention is to match the existing plaque that's shown to the right of it, with the size being 20-inch by 40 inches high. It will be in the main lobby, and the text will be as noted on the plaque to the side here. This one doesn't show it, but we did remove Nasos Phillips from
Yeah, we also have other changes.
right. So do we want to do that prior to the,
They were on
Yeah, I know.
for the beginning, so I think they should be left on.
It's fine by me.
I mean, yeah, even though they're resigning, they were here for the part of it. I mean, if somebody resigns after or towards the end when it's already up, we don't go erase their name.
No.
So they were definitely part of the committee. I don't think Nasos has been part of the committee since.
No, he is automatically been taken off.
Yeah, so I would be in favor of leaving them on.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it. Anybody have a problem with it? If you don't recall, Tim Demers and Janine Fabiano are going to be
Joe,
resigning.
I don't have a problem, but if we add new members, do the names get added?
Probably not. They weren't here at the beginning of the project.
But they might be here at the end,
Yep,
so they're out.
plaque will already be up.
Just a question.
well, because we're going to fabrication of it.
Yeah, we gotta fabricate it,
so-
right?
Yeah.
Pretty long lead time too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet we don't have new members in that time frame.
So there's a long lead time, so I think it's just gonna remain what it is, but Mr. Phillips will be removed. Okay,
And then just the next meeting that we have scheduled for the public safety building is September 8th. I don't see a need for us to meet along with the high school on August 25th, which is their next meeting. So we'll hold September 8th for the public safety building.
Thank you.
Dario, do you want to take this?
Yeah, I can talk through some of these photos here. So the first one you see here on the left is us prepping with the micro piles and prepping for subgrade. And then moving along, we're getting the stone down, the prep for concrete, and the vapor barrier. That's that yellow strip you see in the third photo there. And then the fourth one on the right side is just the rebar.
Dario,
Yes.
you got an echo or something.
How about now? Better?
Slightly. I can assist if you need, Dario, if your audio is tough.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. Right. So the last photo, I think he was trying to explain where that was prep for the mud mat. That is essentially the first basement level slab on grade as well. Probably go to the next one. That's lobby progress, working from the outside, the first shot, inside showing obviously drywall going in, and all the MEPs are up. And then that last photo, I think, is the vestibule roof in place. Yep. Kind of an interesting shot there. And that's more interior progress at the lobby and dispatch areas as we were moving through the last few weeks. And then look at, I think if just from a big picture perspective, just to give sort of a sense of where things are going. Right now, the addition is progressing very well. We're essentially right on track with where we had hoped to be based on our last schedule update. The lobby is progressing well, is progressing well also. But with the lobby, there's a couple of items that we've been trying to do some temporary workarounds on. And I think we'll definitely get the police department in the lobby roughly close to when we anticipated. We may continue to use the temporary entrance for a couple additional weeks while we finish up the vestibule that had some lead time issues with the exterior glazing. So we're working as a team to come up with the right approach for that. But I think everybody on the team is on board with that progress. So we'll update at the next meeting exactly what the official opening of the front entry will be to the public.
All right, Dave, you indicated, when do you think the turnover is going to be with the dispatch and everything?
We're trying to figure out exactly when it makes the most sense for the police. We've got an electrical turnover. We have to maintain 911, that kind of thing. So I would say over the next 7 days, we'll probably have a few options to consider. We'll probably nail that down at our next meeting or so. And then by the time we report back to the committee at this level, we'll have an absolute definitive date. But it's essentially close to the schedule we're on.
Already happened by then.
That's true, yes, with the exception maybe the front entry would still be depending on where we're at, but yeah.
Like we talked about in a meeting, that we would get dispatch in, records in, and maybe not open it up to the public because of the glass and glazing being delayed. But the police, and that probably will happen by September 8th.
Yes, that's the goal. We just, again, there's a couple of temporary conditions. We're trying to determine whether or not it makes sense to keep them temporary or wait a couple of extra days. And depending on some of that electrical turnover timetable, that will answer those questions. So we'll just probably need another week to finalize exactly what makes the most sense for everyone, including, most importantly, police and the 911 dispatch cutover.
Any questions regarding construction update? Hearing none. Lynn, is there?
That's it for the public safety building.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Can you see the high school?
Nope.
Okay, hold on. I think I jumped out of sharing. Okay, can everybody see?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. First up on the agenda is administrative actions. We have several of those to go through. Then SMMA will give us a schematic design progress review. And then we will turn it over to, well, actually, at the end of the administrative actions, we'll turn it over and introduce Bond as the new CM for the project. And at the end, we'll do a quick schedule update.
So I approve the August 2nd minutes written as shown.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Minutes are approved.
I move that we approve Left Field's invoice number 15 dated 8/9/22 for the sum of $22,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Unanimous.
I move that we approve SMMA's invoice number 005-771-0 for the sum of dated 8/9/22 for the sum of $154,000.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
It's unanimous.
I move that we approve SMMA's invoice number 005-7710 for environmental and site consultants dated 8/9/22 for the sum of $39,041.42.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Unanimous.
That's it for invoices. And we have designer contract amendment 2 from SMMA. And I sent that along separately today, once we had it all combined. It consists of additional services for the hydrant flow test for $2,255. And then the added geotechnical investigations from LGCI for $50,369. And it was decided that the geotechnical additional work needed to be done based on the findings from the first phase. So the total of designer contract amendment number 2 is $52,624.
And did we have a line item for the $50,369? Or is it all in their services contract?
We are taking this $52,624 and transferring it from our other contingency into the environmental and site budget line to fund this amendment.
So we didn't have it in there. Okay.
Correct.
So Chip, just to maybe add a little bit here, we did do some borings as part of the start of schematic design. And what those borings revealed was the need for this additional geotechnical testing. As far as the hydrant flow test, we just had not had that in the scope already for schematic.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just wanted to make sure that it was an extra as compared to still having left in that line item.
Gotcha.
And question, these services are to be done? Is that correct?
That is correct.
And we will have a record of them to make sure that they are done?
Yes, in fact, the site team will give an update on this and give you a bit more information, but I believe the geophysical work actually started today.
So why are we paying for it before it's done?
Yeah, that's my question too.
You're not paying for it, you're just authorizing them
Authorizing.
to do the work. And we're moving it so that they can bill it out of their budget lines.
Okay, and is this work being done on T&M or a contract?
These are actual proposals from John Hoadley and LGCI. So they are, proposals from their consultants.
So how many more holes are we doing?
Again, I think Aaron can give you an update on that a little further on. I don't know if we've got the map part of the presentation, but
Is there an
yeah.
on? I'd just like to know what we're paying per hole. 50,000 is a lot for additional. What was
So-
our
It's
engineering that we paid for?
It's not only additional borings, it's, as Helen said, the geophysical, and I think Aaron would have to explain how that's done.
Is
Yeah, so
Aaron?
I am here. Yeah, I'm waiting waiting patiently to speak about this. So we completed a series of borings and test pits. They are strategically located within the building footprint to minimize disturbance to the field and the track. So what we ended up performing was a pair at the north end and one within the footprint. And there's another about 2 or 3 at the south end. And what we found was that the north end had deep loose soils and the south end had suitable soils. And at some point it transitions from these deeper, loose, sandy soils to soils suitable for foundations. What we're going to have to do is improve the ground where we have the loose soils, which is a cost we need to capture during this phase. But at some point it transitions into kind of standard foundations. And so what we have before you this evening is additional geotech that we would have probably done in the next phase. We're pushing that forward so we can help better identify cost for our budget. So what we have is additional 12 borings that's going to be kind of in a big grid across the building footprint. So it's going to be disturbing areas of the synthetic turf and the resilient track. We also have included in that a proposal to perform a geophysical survey. Essentially, they're going to drag kind of like a metal can across the site, across the track in 2 kind of alignments across. And what that gives us is a better sense of where exactly bedrock is. And it will again just help inform the types of foundations that this building will need so we can have a better idea of what to budget for the foundations for this phase of the project.
Perfect. And are we comfortable 50,000 is a good number for this, or?
Yep, we have a detailed proposal that includes all of this work, stakeouts, performing, mobilizing equipment to do the testing, coordination, writing final recommendations, which you will see once we have them. But we have to do this work now so that we have an appropriate budget established for the foundations.
Because I think you think I'm fighting this work.
No,
I'm not.
no. It's just a lot. It's a lot of money. We didn't anticipate it now. Right. Yep.
Does this have fixing the turf and fixing the track in that budget?
So that's something that we're going to be working with Tim and his crew. So what we're going to be doing is backfilling these borings with sand. And then that's, we're going to turn it over to the town and they're going to be working with, and Tim, we haven't quite got this far yet, but we're going to be working with Tim and his crew to figure out what the best way to restore these areas.
So the answer to my question is no, it's not included.
To an extent, I mean, typically borings aren't backfilled with offsite sand.
Right. We can't have a track for spring season without off-track sand in one of the runways. It has to get rubber put back into it. Do we have the contract ready to do that so that we're not down off a track because we did borings? That's all I'm asking.
Chip,
The answer,
sorry.
no.
I'm in touch with Dennis Fazio about this. He's notified that the turf company that he uses, and we're working on the details of all that. So we will be able to plan to restore the track to its current condition.
Okay, so do we have a price on any of that yet?
I don't currently, but I'll get back to you with that information.
Okay, so, okay,
And as a reminder, we have 309,480 left in our contingency.
yeah, we should be fine, but just want to make sure we're toward that end. So that we mess up the school during a spring track season. Or during the fall track season, when they first start to come back and train and all that, as well as soccer being played. So it's all great that it's being done. I agree with doing it. It's just, let's make sure we are down for as little time as possible doing these and coordinate with the school. For, you know, the last thing they need to do is have a rig show up and have the AD going, what's this?
We've notified Brendan. The
Yes.
geophysical survey has unfortunately been pushed back. They were originally scheduled at the end of this week. They're actually a crew in Tennessee that's been on hold because of weather out there. So we should know tomorrow whether they are done with that job and they can start Monday, Tuesday next week. The borings are 3 days currently. That is scheduled for August 29th, 30th, and 31st. So the school will not have access to the track and field facilities during that time. That is all in the works.
And they're well aware of that at this point.
They are, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I move that we approve designer contract amendment number 2 totaling $52,624.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
Lynn, do we need to do a budget transfer? Do we need to?
Yes, that's next. We need to approve budget revision request number 4 in order to fund this. And the amount on this screen is incorrect. It's 52,624. I'll correct that.
Okay, and is everybody's markups and everything else included in that?
Yes,
Okay, so I move that we approve budget revision request number 4 with the revision of the amount being 52,640, was it?
624.
624.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Chip,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
unanimous.
And then just to give a quick update with all of these items included, invoices and changes, we are 84% committed. And with the AE Amendment 2, because I didn't commit it because it came in later, it's 87% committed when I add that in, and we are 58% expended. And then I want to welcome Bond to the team. They were selected during the interviews as the CM, and they're going to give a quick overview of the company and their interview presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Who should, who make co-host?
If you can make me co-host, Joe, that'd be great. You know,
Oh, a new guy on the block.
They're not making me run the
yeah,
technology.
we're not letting
tonight,
Frank do
Joe,
this.
so
You did a good job, Frank. I
I
mean,
thought
come
I did
on.
okay. I did okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's put this in presentation mode here. Are you all able to see that?
Not
We're
yet.
still looking at, there we go.
All set?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Frank's gonna end up doing a better job than I do, so just.
I already noticed that, Dave.
So what, like as Lynn mentioned, we're gonna do like a real abbreviated version of some of the pieces that we did in our interview presentation, hitting some of the highlights. We don't have our full team tonight, but we do have a few of us. And I guess we can introduce ourselves as we start. John Rossini, our lead PM, unfortunately is on a plane as we speak, taking a much needed and much appreciated long weekend away. So he regrets that he can't be here to introduce himself personally, but you'll get to meet him soon enough. So I'm going to let Frank start.
Great, thanks everyone. So I'm Frank Hayes. I'm the president of Bond Building Construction, also an owner of the company, and thrilled to be selected for this project. I am a Wakefield resident. We've got 5, I think, Wakefield residents on our team, which is phenomenal because, but the project means a lot to us and we all care and want to absolutely do the right thing. I'm going to say just a little bit about the company for those of you who don't know Bond, and then obviously turn it over to Dave and Jerry, because I know getting to the logistics and how we're going to build this thing and show you that sequencing is really the interesting stuff. But you can see our numbers on the screen there. We were established in 1907. We've got 6 offices throughout New England. Right now, we're running a bit over 750 employees. We do self-perform quite a bit. We are signatory to carpenters, laborers, operating engineers. So we do a lot of self-perform with our civil utility team, and could be valuable on this project, especially with the Hemlock Street alignment, maybe the culvert work, some early utilities, things like that. We also self-perform carpenter and labor trades. And the way we look at this is if it can add value to the project, especially in this time of kind of labor shortage, then we bring it to bear. But obviously, that's all 100% transparent, and we don't force it down anyone's throat. It's there if it makes sense for the project. This will be our first high school project, and I think it's important to just kind of put that out there. We have an amazing team who has built every kind of space that this school actually contains, and we've done many projects of same size and scale, and very similar, but again, our first true high school. So wanted to just point that out. We're 100% comfortable with it, and looking forward to really getting to know the SMMA team. From what we've seen so far, the designs are awesome, and looking forward to establishing a relationship with them. We did some work with SMMA quite some time ago as Bond, so it's been a little bit. Obviously, we know the town well, and we do quite a bit of work with Left Field with Lynn and her team, and others from Left Field as well. So we've got a pretty simple recipe. It's we listen, we collaborate, we communicate, and we deliver. We don't overthink it. We're a pretty low-key company when it comes to that. Not a lot of egos. We just dig in and do the work. So I think with that said, let's get to the fun stuff, and I'll turn it back over to Dave. Thank you.
Okay. Great. So as Frank mentioned, we have obviously a pretty robust team here for a project of this size. We've got, as Frank mentioned, 5 Wakefield residents on the team. This is the sort of the organizational chart. As we mentioned in the interview, some of us are sort of taking a more active role than we might otherwise, just based on what this project is and how much it means to us. Myself included, I'll be a project executive that is very much involved in deep into the weeds on this one. And then, as I mentioned, John Rossini, our lead PM, is unavailable tonight, but will be a primary day-to-day contact with the major players, but I will absolutely be in the weeds and on site very, very often. You're going to meet Jerry in a minute. Most of you know Jerry already, because him and I did the Galvin together, and he's obviously been around your committee for a long time and knows everybody on the up and up here. So we'll let him get to it in a minute. But going into the schedule, what we talked about at the interview was that we didn't propose an alternate schedule, and we felt very, very good about the one that was proposed, so that basically the schedule you've all been used to looking at for a long time is very much what we think is the correct approach to this. What it's gonna mean though is because of the current state of the world with lead times and labor shortages and all that, we didn't really see any way to start any earlier because we didn't want to put that much pressure on the design team to race the documents out. That said, we are going to look for some early packages for some of the long lead items to make sure we have them just at the right time. As we move through the pre-construction phase, we'll see how the lead times hopefully will get a little better for some of the equipment and things that we're seeing. You know, there's still day-to-day things that are surprising everyone, mostly on the equipment side. So we're going to keep monitoring that all the way through. But right now, overall, the schedule that you've all been accustomed to is the one that we're adopting and moving forward with. And I'm going to let Jerry get into the fun. Sort of, this is the overall approach we presented. Still needs a lot of vetting with everyone involved. This is our first pass, and it'll take quite a bit of effort to fine tune it as we move through pre-construction. But this was our initial thoughts on how we're going to approach the construction. So, Jerry.
Thanks, Dave. So I think most of you do know me, but for those of you who don't, I am Jerry Emmersley. I'll be your senior superintendent for the project. I was the lead super at the Galvin Middle School. I've been with Bond for the last 15 years, and as Dave mentioned, I am a proud resident of Wakefield as well. So very, very excited to work with you guys again, and as well as with SMMA. But so to Dave's point here for phase one, you know, this is basically our first pass at what we thought was the best approach. Certainly not going to say that it's the only approach. If we need to do some adjustments here, we certainly can. But you know, I just do want to say that building the whole building, unlike we did at Galvin with doing the phase construction with, you know, certain things coming down ahead of time, I think this approach is a great approach for everybody involved, because it eliminates basically having to lose program spaces during the construction with multiple relocations as the project gets built. So doing the building up front is definitely the best approach. The project has 2 active school campuses directly adjacent to our project site, unlike we just had the one at the Galvin, but we do have a lot more challenges that we've accounted for here. We'll definitely look to identify and or create dedicated paths, not only for drop-off lanes, but also for the walking students at both of the schools, with the Woodville and the high school, during the 2 phases. The 2D logistics plan here shows the general traffic flow pattern in and around the existing school and the construction site. So we've also taken into account that with the loss of the lot by Beasley, as well as the lot in the front of the high school, there's approximately 130 parking spaces that kind of get lost right off the bat.
That was a different one. Okay.
So that said, we have some ideas up front, utilizing some of the landscape areas to create parking to replace some of those lost spaces with using maybe the lot by the corner of the gym. There's some landscape areas there that maybe we can capture, as well as even stacking some of the parking in front of the school with some of that landscape there. So we also have the option of even adding some of the spaces out on Hemlock Road, should DCR possibly be in favor of that. We show those kind of in blue out there. So, but also construction parking is also something that we need to address right up front, because it's a very tight site. Basically just going to have some of the foremen and some of the mechanics trucks that'll be able to be on site. So we've had some discussions rather utilizing maybe the Nahant Street pit potentially, if the town was in favor of that. For some of the parking, we've also looked at maybe contacting St. Florence Church for use of their lot. That would involve a shuttle, because that's just about a mile from the site. So just for ease of getting workers to and from the vehicles. So truck routes is another thing that's always in mind with planning our work. The idea here is to keep the trucking away from the center of town. We are centrally located between routes 1 and 128 here, so it's pretty handy for trucks kind of coming and going. So we'll have trucking plans established and shared out with all of the contractors and vendors. And we are also sensitive to the fact that the Northeast project is going to be sort of happening concurrently with ours. So we're going to be in contact with those guys to make sure that we're kind of cohabitating in the same neighborhood. So also addressed here is the traffic flow in and out of the site. So we plan to widen and potentially separate the curb cuts between Woodville and the high school to allow better flow, separating Woodville's traffic from the high school traffic, and you know, makes the drive a little bit wider for trucks to enter and kind of get in and out as well. So the road would only be used in that area outside of drop off and pickup times, similar to what we did at Galvin, to eliminate any disruption to students kind of coming and going from school. So we also addressed the sequence of how we plan to build the job, working from you know, the Hemlock side of the site over towards the softball field. The building does account for most of the real estate, so on the site, so it's very tight. When we're establishing the site perimeter, we will address that kind of stuff as well. And then lastly, so the bond and left field trails are up on the hill overlooking the site. So they are able to remain in one location throughout phase one by doing this. And then they'd be moved down to the bottom of the hill for phase two. So the first of these 3D slides that Dave's got here is establishing site perimeter in June of 2024 as we do some of the initial cuts, as well as getting the supportive excavation on the Hemlock Road side of the site. And then the second of the 3D slides is getting underway with the footprint being established. We'll be utilizing Hemlock Road during the time frame with trucks handling fill in and out. And then the other thing that we wanted to address here is that this site will require soils management, because there's going to be significant cuts during phase one, and then significant fills during phase two as we take the old building out. So one solution again here would be potentially to utilize some of that Nahant Street pit, similar to what we did at Galvin, if the town thought that was appropriate. It does sort of give benefit to not paying premiums for export and import of fills. It gives a storage area, if you will. So, and then during the time of that stuff is going on, we would also do some of the utility work on the access road to get the water and gas into the site while that road is sort of somewhat less traveled for construction. And then this 3D slide here shows the steel with the excavations and foundations continuing on the rest of the building, but steel kind of getting going with the building on the classroom wing going vertical by September of 24. And then the traffic at this point would be able to enter on Hemlock and exit through the road between the schools. So traffic for foundations, likely using both gates through the stages of this work. So these next two 3D slides will show us installing steel for the second classroom wing as well as the auditorium section. And then we're going to be getting into doing the first of the decks by mid-October of 24, which will allow trades to get up onto these floors for some of the follow-on work. And then under slab utilities will be excavated and installed once the slabs on decks are completed. And once those get finished, we'll be prepping and placing slabs on grade underneath. So the next two 3D slides show the completing of the decks in the auditorium gymnasium by late December of 24, and then getting started with the facade and envelope, working on the perimeter of the classroom wings. And then the next 3D slide shows the school looking mostly complete. This is the final 6 months of the 24-month schedule with a lot of the hardscape landscape finishes on the exterior, as well as some of the facade punch lists kind of leading us up into the startup and commissioning phases. So that leads it to FF&E and the move in for the June of 26 timeframe. And then flipping to phase two, the initial 2D slide that we showed, it gives a bit of a redirection of the traffic. So with this sequence, with the demolition sort of getting started, we would be working from the new building towards Farm Street. So we had to address student drop off here between the putting the student drop off between the high school and Woodville along using what we did have as lay down area is now a turnaround for the parents dropping off and picking up. And our suggestion here would be to utilize Hemlock Road for buses for the initial opening of school until we can get the new front plaza developed. This work starts in June of 26. So first with abatement and the demolition of the existing building. So unfortunately, there's not enough time schedule wise in the summer of 26 to completely remove the old building and then build the new plaza that creates the main entrance to the new building. So as we started the demolition work, we'd work our way from the inside out, basically making way for the new hardscape to be established and start that plaza construction in September of 26, and then complete that area ahead of the frost in November of 26, making it available for pickup and drop off, hopefully by mid-November. At that time, drop off and pickup flow for both cars and buses could shift onto that new area, and then this also gives back 68 new parking spaces that become available for school use at this time, and then the remaining spaces would be completed where that turnaround was to get those turned over as well. So there's 5 3D slides here that go through the demolition. The fourth of these 5 slides shows the new plaza completed in November with the new Beasley track and field under construction. So this will likely be started with the balance of the work scheduled to go on and get finished with spring of 27 once the frost lifts. At that time, we would also be doing any of the balance of the remaining landscaping, basically to complete the project out as we show in our final 3D slide here. Dave?
Great. Thanks, Jerry. One thing we talked about and we're super excited about is somehow we want to get the students involved, and we could do that in a whole bunch of ways. We've done it. We did a little bit of it with Galvin. We have done a lot more of it with some of our more recent K-12 projects, and we look forward to working with Doug and the rest of the staff on the right ways to do that. But definitely something we want to do, and we've got some thoughts and want to hear everybody's opinion on the best way to approach that. But I'm looking forward to getting the students involved as well. Frank, you want to share some final thoughts on this before we turn it back over?
Like said, I think we put quite a bit of thought into this, and just want to reiterate one thing that Jerry said is, these are our thoughts, and we're looking forward to kind of getting together with the team and talking through the details of each of these. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff percolating in our brains, and looking forward to starting up the meetings and getting going on looking at this, figuring out the logistics, really figuring the schedule, getting some numbers to the design, and next steps in the approval process. So
thank you. Thanks, Frank. Dave,
thank
Jerry.
you.
Any questions or comments or for Bond? Well, that'll be your easiest meeting you'll have if you went with.
We'll take it. We'll take it.
Joe, I just have one I guess comment. Yeah. So thanks, guys. I know those slides were really cool, the 3D slides. As we develop a little bit more on the time frames of some of those, I imagine those will be used kind of to help tell the story to the public, perhaps as we move forward, kind of showing the phasing. Might be really helpful to have like estimated dates on those. That'll help kind of people to see. And I know we won't be wed to them, and I know putting anything out there is dangerous, but it might really help people to understand kind of the timing of how some of that'll go. To be able to see like October 25, November 25, whatever on the slide. I think that would be helpful.
So John, we do all this stuff in-house. We got a really talented crew who does this 3D work, and we were thinking the exact same thing, that as schedule kind of gets locked down and we really figure out the exact sequence that, you know, we would modify those, throw the date on it, put it out there and let people kind of get a sense of how it's going to progress along. So I think they're great visual tools, especially for folks who like you saw it, the 2D with all the detail on it is kind of clustered, kind of tough to figure out, but the 3Ds tell the story pretty succinctly. So
Yeah, I was trying to write everything Jerry was saying down, but I know I didn't get it all. So
we'll just send you his script, John. It's not you know.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
That'll be the last time we follow Jerry's script. All right.
Joe, I
Any
had
other
a
questions
question.
or comments?
Joe, I had a question. Jerry, are you going to be walking to work or are you actually going to drive your car to work?
Chip, Mike, Chip wants me to take away his he doesn't want to pay his truck allowance now, so he's because he's so close. You know,
I've been telling him he's already getting rid of it.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Next up is SMMA with their schematic design progress.
I'm going to be sharing the PowerPoint, so if I could have sharing ability.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay.
Okay. Can you guys see that? Not yet. Oh.
Lynn, do we have to remove Dave or you as co-host or?
Yes, you have to let go of it, whoever had it last.
There we go. There we go.
All right, you got it? Okay.
I needed to choose a screen and
All right.
I missed that prompt.
So good evening. We are here tonight to mostly provide you an update on what the site team is up to, has been busy with these past few weeks. I'm Erin Porcilio, civil engineer on the project. Megan Collins, who you've met before, landscape architect, is here. Also Laura Monies, who many of you have met, also another landscape architect. And of course, Helen and Brian are here for support as well. So I just wanted to give you just a preview of what we're going to touch upon. Of course, we're going to update you on where the site plan stands. We're going to talk a little bit about the transportation survey that was sent to teachers and students and what those results are showing and how those results are informing the design. Wanted to remind you all a little bit about parking, both existing quantity, our goals for the proposed program, and where we see expansion opportunities. And I'm excited to talk to Bond about, how these kind of ideas can come together. Talk a little bit about the grade transitions that we'll have to navigate for the site. Talk about some fun stuff, the outdoor environments that we are imagining. We're calling them the academic commons, central commons, play for all ages, and a little bit about materiality. Hope to talk to the group and get some direction actually tonight on the existing track and field program and what we should be including for the project as we rebuild Beasley Oval. I'd like to open the floor to any discussion about any of these things. And then I do have a slide that shows this geotechnical testing that we talked about earlier, the borings and the kind of the tracks of geophysical survey. If anyone is interested in that, we could flash that and so you guys can visualize what's going to be happening in the next few weeks.
This is the PSR site plan. Just wanted to bring it around, though Bond did just a very nice job of illustrating it in 3D. But this is where we left off for the PSR, what we submitted to the MSBA. And so we've been going through a process of a lot of design, a lot of placing of the major elements, those being the building, vehicular circulation, the pedestrian plaza that's bridging the track and field, and the building, obviously the track and field, and parking. And so we've put parking on the north, we put parking on the south, we put parking to the east. We've tried round roadways and straight roadways, angled tracks, reversing the angle of tracks. This is just a few examples of how much we've been trying to push and pull the elements of program that are to be included with this site. And that's all to say that we are looking for a balance. Balance on the site is going to be key to accomplishing the priorities and also achieving an aesthetically pleasing site plan.
And so with that, as Megan said, I'm going to walk through in a little bit more detail where we stand right now with our recommended site layout and what those elements are, Megan. And so looking at that equilibrium stack, that's kind of where we've landed. You can see we have the building with, you know, some of the roadway angling one way and the track angling the other way. And we're finding that this is giving us some dynamic open and green spaces and allowing us to find some of these efficiencies in terms of the layout. So the elements that we're really working with here are the roadway realignment. And we met with the town and DCR, and we've heard that there's an early preference for the roundabout. The roundabout is also going to have the greatest impact on our site. So that is what we are, the configuration that we are working with right now. Another one is the building placement. So what that means, as Megan said, you know, we looked at angling it slightly one way or the other to see, you know, how we can nestle it into the site and you know, making the least impact on maintaining the existing building and the wetlands and things of that nature. The parking distribution. Again, we heard there was a preference for a majority of the parking to be to the north side of the site. And we found that actually that's where we find the most efficiency in being able to organize and lay out the parking spaces. The circulation patterns. So we'll look at a little bit more in depth at the circulation patterns that we're developing for vehicular circulation, but you can see from Hemlock, we have a drop-off area and a little bit of parking to the south of the entry plaza. We have a majority of the parking to the north. We have, I think, the opportunity to create a bus and van loading area that's in plaza space that's separated off of the main vehicular circulation. So it provides a little extra protection for those students loading into the vans and buses. Let's see, and of course we're looking at where and how service accesses the site, and we'll be working with the fire department to talk about emergency access as well. Pedestrian circulation. Oh, not quite there yet, Megan.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. So we're looking at primary pedestrian connection from the entry plaza, from the school entrance across to the track, and we'll definitely be illustrating more pedestrian circulation throughout the site as we develop the plan further. With the track, again, we looked at how we would orient the track on the site. How is it angled and nestled into the site? We are looking at various configurations. At this time, we are accounting for all of the existing program that the school has now, which would include a track that meets MIAA standards, as well as the lighting and the storage and all the amenities that the track program currently has, and track and field. And as we mentioned, the grade transitions and addressing ADA, accessible pathways across the site and things of that nature, which we will expand on a little more. So I just want to show you how that lays out as a diagram. So we have the blue representing the primary pedestrian connection from the school to the track, and showing the primary drop-off locations back to the main entrance of the school. The red represents the primary vehicular circulation. So we are anticipating a one-way drop-off entrance from Hemlock across the front of the school for picking up and dropping off. And we would have a two-way entrance from Farm Street. And we are imagining that this could be realigned to make it a cleaner in and out, and reworking with the parking at the Woodville School to really clean up that circulation. So I saw that Bond had already initiated that with some of the construction phasing, so that will work out well. We anticipate that all the service vehicles will be able to access the loading area, which is to the north side of the school, from Farm Street, so that it would not have to come in front of the school. Let's see, where am I? And then the green areas represent a lot of the open spaces that we anticipate we will be able to incorporate lots of exciting program for the users, students, and the community. This will again be the primary pedestrian spaces. So you can see around the track, we're anticipating some of those all ages play spaces that we will get a little more into, directly around the school, the academic wing. We are looking to have an open learning space in front, an academic commons, and a central commons that will incorporate some interesting plaza spaces and learning spaces for the students and community.
Can I, a quick question?
Sure.
Can you go back? Okay. Having been a facilities director for another school department, actually I was in the building committee for the Woodville School a million years ago, but maybe this may be a little premature, but where would like the trash dumpsters be located?
So Megan, can you use do you have a pointer? Yeah. So it's on the north end of the building. There's a label on the bottom right side that says service and loading area.
And just from my experience, it looks really tight there. Having experience with another school department, with the facilities department as a facilities director, and a lot of equipment and trucks and loaders and snow removal and deliveries and pickups, and it was kind of a remote area away from the general part of the school. And this looks like it's integral part of the school. It looks really, to me, it looks really tight.
I mean, it is tight. You've correctly identified that this site is very tight. I didn't mention before, so we have been busy meeting with the site working group earlier this week. We met with facilities, maintenance, and food service to understand types of deliveries, what the recycling and waste program is. You know, what kind of vehicles do we need to plan for, how often they come to the site. So those are all kind of things that are going into the design. You know, at some point very soon, you know, we have been driving trucks and auto turn to make sure that, you know, the large vehicles can make it here, but it is tight. That's part of the balance that we have to strike.
Okay.
As part of our planning, we sent out a student transportation survey to the students of the high school. We also did a faculty staff survey asking about modes of transportation to school, and the questions included times of arrival, times of departure, transportation types, and then there were some aspirational questions about other multimodal possibilities for students getting to school. And so we will be using the information that we gathered here to help design the site. We've also passed on this information to the Wakefield master planning group. And so they have that information as well. But basically the key takeaways are that students are open to using alternative modes of transport to school. And so we will include those. And then teachers also need parking to make sure that they are able to get to and from school as well. And that we need to make sure we're maintaining parking during construction.
I think this was me. So just to remind you all, we studied kind of how parking is distributed, the types of folks that are coming and parking to the site. You've seen this before. We've talked a lot about parking, but essentially there's 269 spaces currently serving the school. If you flip to the next one, this parking, the way that we've kind of drafted is about 275. Again, that's located, most of the parking is centrally located on the north side of the site. We are looking into opportunities to expand parking at Landrigan. So we're currently working with the town to understand any sort of restrictions that would point us in another direction there. But to make more efficient existing parking facilities up at Landrigan, these are, our thoughts are it could be done early, and then that could serve kind of to offset during construction as well as provide after construction is over. The goal for us is always to work to provide what is there currently during construction. So definitely more to come on parking quantity for sure.
Erin, could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Joe. So could you go back to the proposed layout design for just a minute, please? Yeah. Oops. Yeah. Perfect. So I had a question about the roundabout.
Yeah.
And I apologize if you covered this already, but I guess I have some trepidation about a roundabout for high school kids who are just learning how to drive, and having to navigate a roundabout, even for adults, can be challenging sometimes versus, say, a traffic light. So I'm curious how you came up with that proposal.
So we're actually studying both right now. Megan had commented that we had met with the town and DCR to talk about kind of moving forward and how we decide. And so there's going to be a special traffic advisory commission meeting scheduled at the end of the month, where we present both this project and Metro Tech will be before that commission and present the analysis on these two approaches. I think the town's goals are for traffic calming and then also considering long-term maintenance. And so also knowing that there is no roundabout currently in town. So there's a lot to consider. I think the town prefers that the same approach be taken at both Metro Tech's new driveway and this intersection. But it's being studied by our consultant, by Metro Tech's consultant, and then we'll kind of come together and then meet with the traffic advisory committee
Great.
in just a few
Thank
weeks,
you.
actually.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry if I missed it.
No, that's
Thank you.
okay. No.
Okay. Thanks, Joe.
No problem.
So we've talked about grade transitions. We've talked about the slopes that are on site. And so we have a really great opportunity to use those grade transitions to create beneficial spaces, spaces that can use walls and sloped walkways and even bridges to create spaces for us to have outdoor classrooms, have social space, do stormwater mitigation. We will have, needs for bioswales and honestly, these spaces can be really beautiful, building in walls to cut the grade and become seats or become planting areas or become areas to mitigate water on site are all really great and aesthetically pleasing ways. And hopefully they will, help us to reduce the aesthetic that we had talked about early on, which was just a big expanse of wall surface. And so we're really looking to try and cut these spaces into really usable, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing spaces, as well as accessible spaces, using these grade transitions to create sloped walkways helps us to make places accessible on site. Instead of having to put in stairs, we can put in sloped walkways, and we can put in ramps to give the all ages accessibility that we're looking for on the site. In particular, we see the academic commons having a very formal use of these grade transitions. We are looking at more structured learning environments, more traditional feeling of amphitheaters and instructional spaces, so that these can be used for classes, they can be used for presentations, they can be used for performances even. So we're exploring all of those options. And then the central commons, which is centrally located in the middle of the school, is an area that is surrounded by the dining commons and the theater lobby, and also the arts classrooms. And so we really see this area as a much more flexible space, a more social space, a space that can be used in many different ways. And so we'll be looking at creating a much more flexible space that is not as formal as those amphitheater type forms that we just saw in the last slide. And then we have all of those great green spaces that that Laura was talking about in the interstitial spaces between our major elements. And so we'll be looking at including different types of modalities, from subtle things like paver hopscotch. This is a very subtle way of incorporating play, to all sorts of different types of slope play. We've heard that there will be multi-generational families coming to enjoy the recreation at the school, and so we're really looking to incorporate ways for all members of families to have enjoyment on the site.
So Erin mentioned that we had spoken with DPW and the school facilities director, Tim. And so we learned a lot about how they operate and maintain the school sites. And that's to help us understand how we want to use materials and to use plantings and things like that. So in general, we're looking to use, materials that are going to bring a more natural feel. You have the wetlands nearby and some wooded space. And so we want to, bring elements of that wrapped back into the site. And you'll see that in some of the stormwater areas as well. And so we want to make sure that we're providing plantings and materials that are more easily maintained and, and keep their beauty and forms throughout the year. So we want to, use hopefully some durable materials like natural stone and some native plantings, and hopefully, encourage some micro habitats and, the pollinator species to come through the site and inhabit the site. And then the types of amenities that you'll see throughout the site will have lots of various types of seating elements, as Megan was demonstrating in some of the other images, and the different types of, you might have more formal seating areas in the learning commons and we might have some more integrated seating into some of the slopes, and, just some general seating type where you might be waiting for someone to pick you up. Other elements you'll see: lighting, of course, bollards and paving patterns that will help cue vehicular traffic to pedestrian areas, in particular the main entry plaza that will connect the school across to the track. Bike parking, we heard, was going to be a request from students who are hoping to be able to ride their bikes to school. We'll be looking at different types of paving materials, again, to in part, provide aesthetics, provide functionality, provide visual cues, and perhaps even permeable paving that will assist with our stormwater mitigation. I think at this time, oh, right, the track and field program.
Yeah, so we can talk about, we can either talk about the design, or we can move on to talk about the track and field program and then have more discussion.
Does anyone have any thoughts on the materials you presented, the plan, updated plan, any sort of thoughts on the outdoor spaces?
Just another nuts and bolts question. That's my job, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything on the plan about stormwater retention pits. Is there anything considered for stormwater retention?
Of course, they're not on the plan yet, though. We're still working on that. Yep, but we'll have to incorporate kind of current stormwater management system, that meets state regulations. So that will obviously be part of the project. Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So hearing none, shall we move on? Okay.
So I guess we wanted to bring up the track and field program because up till this week, we have been talking about including a track and field program that is identical to what is already at the property. So a 6-lane track and a small bleachers, maybe seating for 100, and lights. And so we sent out notification to the school to confirm that that was accurate. And we heard back from the AD that they would like to include some additional programming that we have not planned for yet. And we're looking for direction as to whether we should continue to study going to, I guess I should go over what he was asking for first, right? We were asked to consider expanding to an 8-lane track. And we were asked to include spectator seating of in excess of 600 plus people. And we were asked to consider storage. We already were considering storage, and we will be clarifying how much additional storage is desired. But I guess, Laura, do you want to talk about this next slide?
Sure. So just to expand a little bit on the request for the enhanced program, the 8-lane track was requested for a couple of reasons. One, that it would allow for more efficient track meets, that they could, run less heats. There was a concern that sometimes the visiting schools get home very late at night after a meet because they're taking so long. And additionally, it would give the ability to host invitational track meets. So definitely gives you opportunity to, bring more folks and events into your community. But with that, it's our job to tell you what the impacts of these things are going to be. And so what that means is obviously that will take more space. And again, with the, you add the seating into that. So things that we were thinking about, if you're thinking of hosting an invitational type event, does that mean you might need a PA system, a video platform, even some sort of small press box? What does that really mean in terms of the scope of what the facility would be? with the seating, we're still investigating whether that means we would, if we have that much seating, do we need a toilet facility, concessions, all these kinds of things. We have to then, look at the orientation of the track. If we have seating, do we want to try to take advantage of the slope near Farm Street? Or do you really want that seating facing your front door of the school? Probably not. So there's all kinds of impacts that this would have that we would really need to study further. So what the diagram is showing is there's a blue line that is the outline of an 8-lane track facility, and you can see a bar above it that represents 600 bleacher seats in a row of 4 high. I don't think we would want to do a compact, really tall bleacher in this situation since it's sitting in front of the school. So we want to keep the seating low profile and work with the grades that we have. The areas in yellow are the parking that we feel would be impacted, and we're not necessarily saying it would just disappear. Some of it would definitely, we would be trading off track facility for some parking for sure. But again, this would take us back to the drawing board a little bit to see how we could reorganize some of the parking and circulation, again, to try to get back some of those efficiencies and make it as clean as possible and get as many parking spaces. We anticipate that we could, depending on the amount of program that would go into this and the amount of space needed, that we could lose up to from 50 to 90 spaces. That's our rough estimate without, we did this exercise in an hour this afternoon. So we haven't had a ton of time to look at it. So just want to give you some of the impacts. And then our question is, how should we proceed? Should we proceed with the, original, let's replace the existing program of Beasley Oval as it is, or do we add this additional request or somewhere in between? And so we're looking for direction as to, should we study further?
Excuse me, yes, Laura?
Sure, yep.
When was this proposed? Because I have not heard any of this during the leadership meetings, which we hold weekly. This is the first time I've even heard of this.
Yeah, us too. When did that email come in, Aaron? Do you remember? It was like either late last night or early today. It was after our meeting yesterday.
It is something that has to be discussed by the leadership of the school.
Okay.
This is not something that we would be dealing with now.
Okay.
Laura, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
I think there's factors associated with transplanting this field from what is an area that's in a bowl of sorts to an area that's flat and is in very close proximity to roads too.
Yeah.
And that's fencing.
Yep.
If you just had track, obviously not a problem. You had soccer, perhaps lacrosse, you're going to need substantial fencing all around this field.
And netting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So it sounds like, Joe, you'd like to refer this back to leadership.
Yes, I haven't heard from the administration of the school at all. It should not be brought up to the full committee without going through the school department.
Yeah, I can see, Joe, where this request has come through, but I think if this is, if it's not vetted first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to vet this. To me, under first blush, we don't have room for it. And it was never part of the program from day one. When we talked about the athletics, we talked about the gyms, we talked about the needs. We never talked about the increased size of the track. Even when we were talking about an increased size of the gym. So to throw this at us now is I get it. In a perfect world, it'd be lovely, but to me, if it's overlay, it doesn't fit.
So let's discuss it in more detail on Wednesday. Yeah.
I think you can discuss it in exactly this detail. I don't think you need to another minute on it.
Actually, you've given us quite a bit of good input.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's the direction that we're looking for.
I'm fairly clear on the direction.
I don't think we disagree with you, but we are trying to, this was the result of a memo that was sent to the district.
But it's being done by somebody not through the proper channels. You don't just send an email and say, I want X.
And who was it sent by?
This was a response to a memo that we had sent out to the principal, and my understanding is that it was sent to the AD and that these were his responses, and that the principal forwarded them on to us.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've done a great job representing why it might not be able to happen.
Yeah, but some of the comments do apply regardless of whether you put 8 lanes or 6 lanes still.
Yep.
Your fencing.
Agree.
Yeah, because it's still going to be awfully close to roads. I mean, so it's something to think about.
Yep.
Did we mention it was a tight site?
That it what?
That it's a tight site. Yes.
Oh, Helen,
These are good comments. Thank you.
Yep.
And
Is this the end of SMMA's presentation?
It is the end of SMMA's.
Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to share. What?
I said
I'm going to share the last 2 slides that I have, if you don't mind.
I just wanted to say one thing on the track. I completely, like Chip said, I understand, Brendan asking for that stuff, right? This is the time to do it. Maybe it wasn't done at through the right channel of this process, but it brings up a good point. Maybe if the expanded track isn't feasible, is some of what he's asking for feasible? In my head, I'm thinking about the stands. If there's something a little bit more substantial that's there right now, that would be great, I think, for usability and, the public going to things there, because there's no seating there now. And as parents going to, little kids soccer games or going to watch kids play lacrosse, you're not allowed to bring your seats onto the track field or anything like that. So if there was some ability to expand seating, I can see that being a additive thing that would be good to look into, just as part of this, because while we did say we were going to replicate it, when we moved the field from the back of the school to the front, I think, having some improvements would be, something we should think about. So that's all.
Thanks, John. I think that those grade transitions at the front will really help us to include some more, spaces that can really help with that, as opposed to having a more formal bleacher system. So we'll be looking into that as well.
Thanks.
And the only other comment I would make is, does it help to go to a broken back track at all? Does that help space width-wise?
That'll widen it out further. And then the other thing is there's typically not a preference in competition for a broken back track. So
I hate broken back track.
yeah.
Okay.
We can investigate it, and that's probably something we want to get a little bit more feedback from the AD too, in terms of, I've heard this at it was higher level facilities, but if you have a broken back track, nobody's going to want to come use your facility. Well,
yeah,
I'm exaggerating a bit, but that's not to be preferred. Yeah,
that's probably true. So I would spend no minutes on that.
Okay, these are upcoming meetings that we've either just had or are looking to schedule. we have quite a few programming meetings coming up to kind of finalize some of the interior design. We have a exterior focus group meeting that we're trying to get established for the week of August 15th to start to nail down some of the exterior finishes and look of the building. We are also just scheduled a meeting on mechanical systems with the district in town for the 17th. And we are still looking to pinpoint a date for both the high school team and the Metro Tech traffic engineer team to meet the week of the 27th in anticipation of trying to get a traffic advisory committee meeting the week of the 29th. We haven't been able to pinpoint an exact date for either of those meetings, but we're working on it. We also, I know at the last meeting, we talked about not having a public forum. So we would like to suggest a sustainability green charrette forum on August 24th instead of the public forum. We know there's a lot of interest around sustainability, and we thought that this might be an opportunity to have a public forum on sustainability.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
Okay, well, we'll work on that.
Thanks,
And then just a quick look ahead for some of the key dates moving forward for the schematic design. We're trying to get all decisions on the building systems made by August 25th, exterior, interior, and site approval by the 25th, which some of it may slip to our September 8th meeting. We are asked to present to the school committee on August 30th, so we're going to look to do that. Bond has asked us for a page turn meeting, which we're tentatively looking to schedule on September 6th, prior to the start of estimating. And then we want to make all our sustainability decisions by September 8th. And that will be after our green charrette forum on the 24th. We will have a public forum on the 28th so that we can hopefully provide to the public where we stand with design and costs, or we may not have all the costs at that point. We may have to push that to our October public forum because our cost estimating timeframe slipped a little. So we're looking to do cost estimating between September 9th and September 30th in preparation of having a construction budget and a total project budget in front of the PBC for approval on October 6th. It's a lot to do in the next six weeks to and then in preparation of submitting at the end of October to the MSBA.
And Lynn, what do we need the meeting on the 25th for? Because I know we're not having meeting for the public safety, right?
This is where we're going to ask for some final decisions on building systems and the exterior, interior, and site approvals.
Be ready.
You've seen previews on all of those. We'd like to be ready to make decisions on at least some of these, if not all of them, by the 25th, and ones that we aren't ready to for approval on will slip to the September 8th meeting.
And where is our MEP meeting in all of this?
I know there's a MEP meeting with the town and the district on the 17th of August. That just got established, I believe.
Wednesday, but it might have to move to Tuesday. So a lot of these things are very fungible right now, but as you can see, it's pretty intense.
We want to come to a conclusion on all of these components prior to when we start the cost estimating process. So that maybe make sure that everything's established for the cost estimators.
And I would just suggest, Lynn, in your September public forum, that you don't plan on doing any numbers.
Yeah, I think there'll just be design at that meeting because, again, like I said, we
Say
slipped
like-
a little.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say like, oh, if we have some rough numbers, well, no. Not until,
Right.
because this next set of numbers are the important numbers that get out there and people are gonna understand. And they really need to be vetted.
I agree. So that's it for me. Does anybody have any questions?
Can somebody put together prior to these meetings or prior to our meetings, the decisions that are gonna need to, like, for the 25th? I know we have an agenda, make decisions, but you know, if it's make decisions on MEPs, what are the meetings for MEPs prior to September 25th that we have committed to? And if it's make a decision on site layout, what are the meetings prior to that that we have? Just so the people that are interested on the PBC can focus on those things and not all of a sudden like, oh, wait, we're making a decision on that.
So we'll try to fill this schedule of dates in a little bit more, because all of these dates shown here are design meetings to get us to the decision-making point. So we'll fill these dates in a little bit more and get it out to the PBC so that in case they're interested in attending.
Great.
Just, Lynn, a quick question on the MEP meeting on the 17th. Can I get involved in that?
Yeah,
Sure.
you should be getting notices of it.
I'm not getting notices.
Well,
How do I get
honestly,
it?
this
Oh,
was
yeah.
meant, can I just say that meeting was really tailored to sit down with DPW and Tim specifically, not in a big meeting, so that they could have more time to get their questions answered. So whoever else should be there, that's fine, but it was really meant to be tailored to that group.
All
And
right.
not the full focus group, not to
No,
exclude
just
anyone.
having been a
So
facilities.
Wayne,
That
were
was-
you invited to the August 3rd focus group meeting?
No, I don't, I think I was out of town, but having been
Yeah,
a facilities
you know.
director, I think I'd have some input if I could possibly attend it. Maybe not.
Okay.
We're all getting notification.
We're all getting notices of them, Wayne, on focus group meetings.
Yeah,
I'm not.
or you were out of town. You're not getting any of the notices?
Can I go to the 8/17 meeting? Possibly.
Yeah,
That's fine. It's just, it's probably getting rescheduled.
and it might,
Just, it may not be the 17th. Sorry, I just learned from my mechanical engineer, she may not be available. So, or,
Okay.
it's like I said, it's in flux, but sure.
We will include you on the list, Wayne.
Thank you.
yeah, I just asked that all PBC members be notified at all the meetings.
We had
Yeah.
that chip last month and they were, I was
Yeah.
getting them. So I don't understand why Wayne didn't get them.
I love MEP.
Is there, Glenn, anything else?
That's it.
Any questions or comments anyone has before we adjourn?
I have a question. What's a green charrette forum on sustainability? Just real quickly.
Ellen, you want to take that?
Sure,
Is it
it's
Just a
yeah,
fancy,
it's it's laying everything out there, not just the systems, right? Not just the code and the systems, opportunities on the site, opportunities throughout the building,
Right.
to kind of get people excited, engaged, and hear where the priorities are.
Perfect.
So yeah, it's a whole building, whole site kind of an approach.
super. Thank you.
Anybody
I don't-
else have any questions or comments? Suggest a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, and click leave meeting.
Hell,
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.